my chapter review that I posted on Monday, I called Saturn a spider, and I got this comment letting me know, no, he is not simply a spider. He is an Oceoni, which is a type of yokai. So I had to look it up, and then that sent me down the rabbit hole of researching a yokai and trying to pair a yokai to each of the 5 elders. I also did a quick search after I spent hours doing this to see who else is talking about this, because obviously it's not going to be just me. This is the One Piece fandom. And I found Reddit posts, some YouTube videos. I say all that to say I'm not the person that came up with this. If you happen to be hearing about this for the first time through me, I'm not the origin. But I wanted to talk about it because I had so much fun researching yokai and going through the many forms of yokai that there are and trying to pair them with the elders. So I'm gonna give you a brief history on yokai. What are they now that they've entered our story? What role did they play in ancient Japanese culture? And I'm gonna talk to you about a couple theories I have about Imu as well, who could potentially be a yokai as well, but I don't actually think he is. So we'll get to him too. Or them. Imu. We'll get to Imu too. So a yokai is a supernatural being that is known to be blamed for mysterious happenings. A really good example is if there's a new house being built that's still settled and it's creaking and groaning. Used to be, those creaks and groans were attributed to yokai moving and doing their deeds. You can have some that look like animals, some that look like people, some that look like inanimate objects that have become animate, like a sandal or a saddle strap that fell off the saddle. Yokai traditionally are known for what you blame for the unexplainable, which I think fits really nicely with the purpose that the 5 elders serve. They end up serving the one who kind of really truly controls everything. They, in assistance to Imu, control everything. So the things that go wrong in the world, they are the puppeteers, or rather Imu's the puppeteer, but you know what I mean. So they are the ones when in the strange happenings that happen in the world, like for instance, a whole island being evaporated, being destroyed by some laser beam from above. It's them. They're behind it. So they truly are the yokai of this world. Yokai is also oftentimes used as a catch-all for pretty much anything like this, like a ghost or a demon or some sort of malevolent creature, though a lot of people distinguish the difference between yokais and Japanese ghosts or other lore. They're kind of their own entity, even though they're oftentimes used as a catch-all. But essentially, they are creatures that take on many different forms that are used or that in ancient Japan were used to explain the unexplainable. We don't know what's happening here. Must have been a yokai. Sometimes they're evil, sometimes they're vindictive, sometimes they're mostly harmless, just a little bit mischievous, and sometimes they're helpful. And there are an uncountable number of them, but there are many that have been documented and illustrated, and boy did I have fun going through them. We've already seen representations of several types of yokai in One Piece. Like we've run into a representation of a Tengu, a Kappa, Hanya, and Umibozu, I think is how you would say it, at Thriller Bark, as well as many other places. Yokai are well known in Japanese culture, lore, media, manga. They're all right, now let's talk about Imu. Imu is actually a depiction of a true historical Japanese figure, Abe no Seimei. Let me explain. So Abe no Seimei is a real historical figure and one that is extremely well known in Japan. He is portrayed in a lot of stories and films, and his legend is so strong that the lore and legends have kind of become tangled with what is believed to be true history, to the point that he's essentially a piece of folklore himself. But the most important thing about him was that he was an extremely prominent, in fact, one of the most prominent Onmyodos. Now stick with me because this is the part of the video that I'm the most excited to share with you because I haven't seen anyone else talking about this and I think I'm onto something. So in ancient Japan, when the yokai and oni and all of the things involved in that were prominently believed in, and as beliefs and philosophies from China were coming over to Japan, the Onmyodo became a really important figure in Japanese society. Now, I'm not going to give you a history lesson on the origins, functionality, and evolution of the role of the Onmyodo, though I could because it's fascinating. But what I will tell you is that a very boiled down, simplified explanation for them is that they were essentially the wizards of Japan. People went to them for advice and instruction on a huge span of things. They practiced astronomy, calendar making, divination, fortune telling, and many, many other things. They practiced the way of yin and yang, but they also used the 5 phases. Again, they provided a ton of services for a ton of people. They were the biggest deal. But the biggest thing that they did as the biggest deal was predict and protect from the Hyaki Yagyo. The Hyaki Yagyo is better known as the Night Parade of 100 Demons. This was a time of year where instead of the yokai and the oni and the catch-all, I'm just gonna say yokai, instead of them slipping into from the spirit world into the physical world individually, this was a procession of a parade of yokai that would come in all at once. This was considered to be the most horrifying thing. This was something that people wanted to avoid. This was a nightmare. It was a terror. And one of the main roles of the Onmyodo or one of the most important roles, was to predict when this parade would happen, and then evacuate that area and protect the people. And honestly, I kind of think that we're in the middle of a Hyaki Yagyo right now in One Piece. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what's happening. Okay, back to the Onmyodo. So, one other interesting thing about the Onmyodo is that they also had essentially yokai under their control. The most prominent, the best Onmyodos would capture yokai from the spirit world and enslave them, and they essentially became their pets that would do their bidding. They were under their control. They would listen to their commands. Anyway, Abe no Seimei is, again, one of the most well-known Onmyodo and was known to have several yokai under his command. It could be that Imu isn't Abe no Seimei. I just know that Oda really likes taking true historical figures and then using their legend as not necessarily their true history, but their legend as a piece of how he writes that character, which is why I lean towards Abe no Seimei, because he's so well known and loved in Japanese lore. But regardless, my current ongoing theory, which could be totally wrong, is that Imu is an Onmyodo and that the 5 elders are the yokai that he has captured and enslaved, and they're doing his bidding. And we're currently in the middle of a Hyaki Yagyo, and it's gonna be terrible. But there you go. This video is probably plenty long enough. So what do you think? Do you see any validity in any of these oni that could, not oni, yokai, and the many options for Imu as well? What are your theories? What do you think? I would love to hear from you. I gotta go eat dinner now. I'll see you again soon. Bye.